Hey guys, welcome. The next 7 day, man, a lot can happen in 7 days, that's for sure. And this weekend, I'm out and enjoying a 3-day MLK weekend out here in South Lake Tahoe at our cabin. And man, it is just amazing. I mean, it's beautiful out here, as you can see. Got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of stuff planned for the weekend. A lot of great snow this year, because this time last year, I mean, we couldn't find, literally like an ounce of snow. So it's just a beautiful time this weekend, and we're all thoroughly excited. So what I wanted to talk to you guys about, is really, how to add 40K per year to your income and also master the 9 Powerballs. Obviously, I say 9 Powerballs because, for a lot of you guys, you know what I mean as far as a Powerball and what's going on out here. And I mean, wow, isn't that an amazing jackpot to hit? I mean, imagine what could you do with that amount of money? What would you do with that? I mean, it's just crazy. But I've heard things that there are a lot of Powerball or just different pranks with the people that thought they won the lotto, and they would go out there and curse out their boss, or they would go and divorce their husband or their wife, or whatever the case may be. Once they found out they won that money, these are the actions they did. And it's pretty sad, because you're thinking about, okay, wait a minute, you must really hate your job. Okay, number 2, a person to go and say, I'm going to divorce you. But wait a minute, how long have you been married? What's the situation? You must really hate your relationship. So with or without money, why are you staying in it? Why are you staying in it? So it's just really sad to see what we deal with in society, the people in society, what they're dealing with, and what they're holding on to, or what is really their main desire and what they're craving. And once they think that they achieve this money, it's just going to change everything. And you know what? The fact of the matter is, it's not. Because a lot of times what people realize is making money, and it's not about making the money, or it's not about the money. It's about the knowledge. It's about the wisdom. And that's one of the things I want to talk to you about is we all have a power. We have to really focus on what we crave, what we desire, because, what you are a slave to, is what you obey. I love how in Romans 6:16, and I'll go ahead and read it to you. It talks about this. Really good. And let's see, Romans 6:16. It says, and it reads, and I quote, "Don't you realize that you become the slave of whatever you choose to obey? You can be a slave to sin, which leads you to death, or you can choose to be a slave, and of course to God, which leads you to righteousness." And so, to me, that was just very powerful, because a lot of us, we focus on things like money, as our desire. We focus on, money. We focus on sex. We focus on fame. We focus on power in the form of controlling people and wanting to have a reign or a rule over people, and that's one of the things for me, I really realized when I started developing teams and I got out of the military. It's like when you have that authority on your collar device or within a position of your job, and you think that that is true leadership. No, leadership comes from people following you based on their love and happiness and peace and joy with you, not necessarily your reign or your control or your dictatorship over them based on what rank you achieved or attained, right? You should have the love of the people in their hearts, and that's what it's really about. You should crave and desire that, but of course you also have to have the peace and the love inside of your inner self in order to emulate that onto the people around you. All right, so that's what I want to talk about really quickly before I get into how to add, of course, $42,000 or more to your income annually, is the 9 powers. And some of you guys have heard this before: love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, being faithful and true to yourself, gentleness, and self-control. For some of you guys that may have heard of that, especially in Galatians, as a fruit of the Spirit, it's really powerful when you're able to master this. Love, loving yourself for who you are. One of the things I always tell myself, and I tell other people, like for example, my cousin, who was an MMA fighter, fell down and broke his neck, and now he has to live with being this paralyzed self in the flesh. But you should love yourself no matter what, for who you are always, and who you have become. You know, first and foremost, we weren't born and we weren't able to come out like, you know, man-made things and choose the skin color or choose the education or the knowledge, the mind that we have. We weren't born able to choose that stuff. We were born with it. And so we have to deal with it, because we have to also learn that no matter how we are or who we are, whatever situation or circumstance we're in, you know, we have to learn how to leverage that in such a way to empower others. You may have been born with a certain self, but later on down the road, once you identify your path to righteousness, your path of happiness and goodness, you know, you'll realize that who you are can contribute to the people out there in a major way. Okay? Joy, just being happy with the small, fine things. You know, the small, fine things. It's not always about taking your kids to Disneyland. It's about being able to wake up and being there, being alive that day, and being able to spend that one moment in prayer, or that one moment, you know, out here on a snow sled with your children, or wherever you are, in the bathtub at night, or when you read them a book. You know, peace. You know, just have that peace and confidence that, you know, it's okay. You know, you may not have all the money in the world, but you know what? You have peace in that I know who I am. I know what I aim to do. And I have freedoms in the control of my life. And I'm not living as a slave, you know, or a prisoner of war, POW, right? I have freedom here in America, or wherever you are in the world. You have freedom in your mind, first and foremost, to be peaceful and happy of that. Okay, patience is a virtue for a reason. I love philosophy and how Socrates and, you know, a lot of the philosophers would talk about just patience as a virtue. You know, be patient, because when it comes to attaining the things you want, I love college. For a long part of my life, I thought that, getting a college degree, whatever, you know, I don't really want to make that as a contributing factor to my success. But what I've come to realize and really appreciate is the fact that going through that process of that 2 or 3 or 4 year, 7 year, 10-year period of time in your life where you're on a structured system. You know, even my time in the military, having to be patient with getting promotions and things of that nature. The patience is really what helps promote your growth. It's like the water to a plant. That patience is really a virtue, and it's a greatness. Kindness, just being kindness. I love everyone for the simple fact that we all are born. We are all born with a good heart and good intentions. It's not until we're taught otherwise that we deviate from that. You know, faithfulness, just being faithful and true and honest. Honest with ourselves. Honest with ourselves, okay? Man, being able to be honest with yourself, especially understanding honestly where you are in life, and just being okay with that, being at peace with that, it can really set you free in a major way. You know, gentleness. Don't always be so rough and vigorous, you know, with those around you, with your attitude, with your, you know, your mindset or your anger, your temperaments. You know, I mean, me as a parent is very hard. I have high expectations, you know, for my son, and I have a strict regimen and a schedule, you know, because I mean, hey, I want the best. But sometimes when you want the best, you don't realize that maybe you're overexerting some powers that are harmful, that are toxic, you know, and are setting the wrong impression maybe on your loved one, on your spouse or your significant other, or people around you at work, or, you know, whatever you're doing. So be gentle, okay? Be gentle in life. Have that patience. And last but not least, the ninth is self-control. Being able to have self-control and master these 9, you know, these 9 overall fruits, or, you know, just great powers that we all have within our inner self. Having that patience through our self-control, right? Having the self-control to have that love, you know, and have that peace and joy, and have that faithfulness. You have to have self-control, all right? So just identify those and see how they really work within yourself, because I'm telling you, the more you begin to master those things, the more better your journey in this life will become, you know? So going into this $40,000 or whatever or whatnot, you know, you got to identify a realistically achievable goal. Okay, that's what every successful person is going to more than likely recommend to you. You know, is you got to identify a realistically achievable goal. Okay, that yields a positive effect unto people, and you drive towards that, your destination. And as you do that, you know, make sure that you're consistently focusing on these 9 powers, okay? Because it's the fruits, and you want to share that fruit, that love, that peace, that joy, that happiness, self-control. You want to exhibit that You know, and that's going to help embellish the lives of yourself, your people around you, your society and community, right? Your organizational, group or team, right? So a realistically achievable goal, one of the things that I talk about, is number one, retirement and being able to have that happiness, being able, a lot of times we think money is going to be it for us. And, so I have a specific strategic plan, and it's actually what I've been always focusing on is a goal of, let's say, for example, owning 10 real estate properties. Okay. For some of you guys know, as a professional, what I do in the area of real estate and investing, I help people solve their problems where I need to buy their property all cash. And maybe I fix and flip it or rehab it or what have you, or create some form of creative financing or a lease option for that individual. We want to provide solutions that are positive and help the people. I love real estate because, of course, there's a lot of money to be made in real estate, but at the end of the day, it's not about the money. It's what I do with my architectural mindset with that property. I can manifest it into something at the end of the day that's beautiful, and I can either rent it or sell it or lease it to someone that really wants that end result. Maybe I'm acquiring it from somebody that was in a situation that was less than perfect, and now what I've been able to do is free them up from the ties and the obligations of that real estate. Listen, there's a lot of opportunity within the area of real estate, especially in investing. And if you want to learn about those things, let me know, all right? But think about this as an end result. Where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years? Because this is one of the most simplest, realistically achievable things that I believe firmly that everyone can do. Everyone can elevate their life to. The average person, when I did my statistical survey, retires with about $3,000 per month. And that's probably kind of high as well, right? But let's say $3,000 per month. I want you guys to understand this very basic concept of cash flow. Robert Kiyosaki talks about this in the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. You have the E as an employee, the S as a self-employed, the B as a big business, and the I as an investment. And you want to earn money through you want to produce your income on the right side, so that way it's also passive and residual, and you're not necessarily trading your time for money. You have leverage, you have systems, you have legacy that you can transfer that wealth onto other folks in your family or whoever. But the bottom line is, imagine 10 properties. Let's say, for example, these properties are, let's say, $150,000 at a cost. And depending on where you buy these properties in the Midwest or California or wherever, $150,000 is pretty reasonable. But a $150,000 property, let's say a 6% interest rate because it's an investment or whatnot, maybe a $900 per month mortgage. And let's say, for example, you're able to rent that out for $1,250 per month, $1,250 per month. Think about that. That's $350 per month in cash flow from that one property. Imagine if you own 5 or 10 of those. 5 or 10 of those. Let's say 10. That's $3,500 in cash flow, residual income that you'd be earning. Now, taking into consideration that now you own this book of properties, this asset class, right? That has a debt, but it's good debt, it's a debt, right? Let's say 150,000 times 10, that's $1.5 million that you protect, maybe with insurance or something along those lines, right? But the bottom line is, over years, the debt is going to decrease because the renters are paying you the mortgage. So imagine in the next 15, depending on if you have a 15-year or 20 or 30-year loan, 15, 20, 30 years from now, those properties can be paid off free and clear. And now no mortgage means that full $1,250 is your cash flow. That's $12,500 per month in 15, 20, 30 years from now. But even right now, if you acquire 10 properties, maybe it took you a year, one property a year, in 10 years you have 10, or 2 properties per year, or just depending on your situation, you can do it maybe faster or slower. But just imagine if you were able to acquire that and accumulate that within the next 5 to 10 years. Where would that put you, and where would that position your life and your lifestyle? So, at extra $3,500 per month, that's about $42,000 in cash flow per year. Not even taking into consideration the valuation of those properties and how much your net worth is at this point. I mean, that's pretty powerful. And that's what we help you do. My company, WTG Wealth Solutions, powered by ERS Premier, we help teach and train and coach you on number one, how to position yourself as a client. Number two, how to position yourself as an investment-oriented entrepreneur within the area of real estate or mortgage or insurance or, our home services, which is primarily focused on solar. The bottom line is, if you have a craving, burning desire to do good for the others, right? Because what are we doing here? We just provided 10 great rental properties to a family that was in need. And maybe we provide them the opportunity to own a property or two, through lease option means and help them out. We flip a few of these and make some good cash. The choice is up to you, but the bottom line is, just like I said earlier, you got to have and attain the knowledge. So that's what we're here to do, is help you gain that knowledge, get you on that right side and on the right path intellectually, physically, inner self, the 9 powers, all right? And, it's up to you if you want to join us and be a part of this massive movement. In closing, we all have challenges. Even God places them in our life. And I'd like to just read to you here in Romans 9:33. Let me go ahead and grab that section here real quick. But in Romans 9, Romans 9:33, let's see here, it talks about, here we go. It says, I am placing a stone in Jerusalem. Okay, it says, well, first let me start at the beginning. 9:33, God warned them of all this in the scriptures when he said, I am placing a stone in Jerusalem that makes people stumble, a rock that makes them fall. But anyone who trusts in him will never be disgraced. Bottom line is, even God, places challenges in our lives to make us grow. There's things in life that are placed as roadblocks, more than likely mental barriers, kind of like in business when we're speaking about barriers to entry, within the context of entrepreneurial and business development or organizational development, there's barriers to entry. Well, guess what? There's barriers to entry in a life of happiness and peace and joy and love and just ultimate success. And so even God, even your maker, puts these things in your life. But remember, if you're positive and happy and positive thinking with the right mindset, you're going to be able to adapt and overcome these elements. And it's going to help you, like a tree, grow. Think about it. A tree has to adapt and overcome so much. And it's going to grow to as high as it can possibly go. Of course, trying to overcome nature and the elements of the weather and also gravity. We also have to adapt and overcome as well. So position yourself correctly. That's what we're here to do. Join our team, be a part of the movement. If you want more information, check us out, coffeehouse.millionaires.com. That's plural, coffeehouse.millionaires.com or WTGwealthsolutions.com. And let's go out there and live life elevated. I hope to see you guys on the next video within the next 7 days. And I want you to ask yourself, where do you see yourself in the next 5 or 10 years? But first and foremost, where do you see yourself within the next 7 days? Hey, happy Sabbath, Lord bless, and have a phenomenal, blessed day. Let's go out there and change the world from here and empower the lives of others. Let's live life elevated.